Everybody, my name's Afukos, and there is a lot of anime coming out this winter season. Because of that, I'm going to speedrun brief descriptions of all these anime so you guys can choose which ones you want to watch. So let's get right into it. First on the list is an anime called Gushing over Magical Girls. Hiragi has always looked up to magical girls and fantasizes about transforming into a cool heroine who fights evil. So when a doll-like figure approaches her one evening, claiming that she has magical powers laying dormant within her, she trembles in excitement. But her dream is quickly shattered in an ironic turn of events when she transforms into a villain. And the next anime on my list is an anime called Ishura. In a world where the Demon King has died, a host of demigods capable of felling him have inherited the world. Eager to obtain the title of true hero, these champions each pursue challenges against formidable foes and spark conflicts among each other. So, the battle to determine who's the mightiest of the mighty begins. Next anime on the list is an anime called Delicious in the Dungeon. A knight named Leos sets out with a skilled party to claim the treasure of a lost kingdom, buried deep beneath the graveyard of a small village. Unfortunately, they were bested by a flame dragon, who ate Leos' little sister, Farin. Although the party managed to teleport out of the dungeon, they left all their equipment behind and were penniless. Demoralized, the party broke up, and now Leos must tackle the dungeon again, with only 1 month to save Farin before she's digested. And did I mention this anime is just kinda about food? Yeah, my bad. The next anime on my list is called Chain Soldier. Throughout Japan, mysterious entrances have opened to a dimension called Mato, a demonic metropolis filled with dangerous monsters known as Shuki. However, a new hope arises as the discovery of a Mato fruit that grants supernatural abilities exclusively to women, allowing them to fight against the Shuki. Due to this, a new matriarchal government was formed, establishing a female organization called the Anti-Demon Corps, which caused men to fall to the bottom of society. Though, our main character is a male, and his name is Yuki. Yuki finds himself in the Mato and is unable to escape on his own. Right before he meets his gruesome end, a girl in a militia outfit appears and protects him. Her name is Kyoka, and Yuki's now her slave. By the way, this anime is kind of strange. Next on my list is an anime called The Unwanted Undead Adventurer. Ren is an adventurer and he's been doing it for a long time, but he still sucks at it. He ends up getting eaten by a monster and he wakes up as a skeleton. Armed with nothing but his trusty sword, tool belt, and ghoulish new look, Red sets off on his new quest as a newly reborn skeleton to one day return to civilization with a new human form. The next anime on my list is called The Demon Prince of Mimoji House. On her 16th birthday, an orphan named Himari inherits her estate that she's never seen before. Mimoji House exists on a barrier between human and spiritual realms, and Himari is supposed to act as the guardian between the two worlds. But when she gets there, there's already 3 dudes living there, and one of them has taken her job. And the next anime on my list is called Pon no Michi. The anime is set in Onomichi City, where a high school student, Nashikino, was kicked out of her house. And for some reason, her only concern is that without a place, she has nowhere to play with her friends. She then learns about her father's old parlor, which is now vacant, and she decides to rebuild it into a place where she and her friends can have fun, cook, have tea, and sometimes play mahjong. Next on my list is an anime called The Wrong Way to Use Healing Magic, and I know what you're thinking, this is not Ryudo of Healer. Ken Usato is a normal high schooler in every sense of the word, average grades, dreams, and a tendency to dislike extraordinary people. However, when he encounters the president and vice president of his student council, both popular and extraordinary, he immediately befriends them. All of this is interrupted when Ken's new friends are summoned into another world, and he accidentally gets summoned with them. With no way to return, he decides to stay quietly in his new world, until he finds out that he has an affinity for healing magic. Healing magic is a very rare form of magic, which gives him both self-confidence and attention from all other mages. However, not all attention's good, which is something Ken realizes when he's noticed by a crazy fellow healing magic user. And the next anime on my list is called Sasake and Peeps. Sasake is a middle-aged office worker living in Japan. Feeling drained by the corporate world, he decides to head to a pet shop in search of a new companion. There, he finds an adorable bird named Peeps and takes him home. But Sasake quickly learns that Peeps isn't your average bird. In fact, he's a powerful mage from another world. Together, they embark on a magical adventure filled with swords and sorcery. And the next anime on my list is called Solo Leveling. 10 years ago, the gate appeared, and it connected the human world to one with monsters. Some people started to gain unknown powers, and they became the first hunters. One of these people is named Sunjin Woo, and he's considered to be one of the weakest. One day, he finds himself to be the only one left in a mission that's gone terribly wrong. He awakens in a hospital 3 days later to find a mysterious screen floating in front of him. This quest log demands that he completes unrealistic and intense training programs, or he'll face an appropriate penalty. At first, he doesn't want to do it, but then he finds out that if he does, he could be one of the stronger hunters in the world. And the next on my list is an anime called A Sign of Affection. Yuki Itos is a university student who has been deaf since she was born. She's lived in the same place her entire life and rarely interacts with anybody except her best friend Rin. During her commute one day, she meets a silver-haired and multilingual boy named Nagi. Unlike most, Nagi is unwavering when he learns of Yuki's impairment. This, along with his experiences abroad, fascinates and touches her. After they part, her fondness of him starts to grow, and a new world begins to open for both Yuki and Nagi as they both learn about each other's different lives. And next on my list is an anime called The Strongest Tanks Labyrinth raids. Rude is a tank of the hero's party, and he's said to have the highest defense ever in history. His party often does labyrinth raids, but to Rude it means more than just a raid. To cure his beloved sister's illness, he's in search of a wish-granting treasure that might be hidden within the labyrinth. Unfortunately, the arrogant hero kicks him out of his party after an unsuccessful raid attempt, blaming it on his skills who he is not fully aware of. With nowhere else to go, he decides to go back to his hometown. On his way there, he saves a girl who was being attacked by a monster. Unexpectedly, the girl has an extremely rare skill called Appraisal. Thanks to her skill, Rude is finally able to discover the truth behind his unknown skills, which turn out to be very powerful. With a defense of 9,999 and more powerful skills, he begins an adventure of the strongest tank. Next on my list is an anime called The Tale of the Wedding Rings. Sato has been in love with his childhood friend and neighbor Hime ever since she and her grandfather appeared out of nowhere 10 years ago. Now a dazzling yet mysterious high school beauty, she makes it more and more difficult for him to confess his feelings. So when she tells him she's going back to her homeworld to get married, his first thought is to follow her and crash the wedding. All goes according to plan, but with a kiss from Hime herself, Sato becomes the new groom. But unknown to Sato, the man who marries Hime is destined to become a hero of immense power and save the world. Is Sato up for the challenge, or is this too much responsibility for one high schooler to handle? Next on the list is an anime called The Seventh Loop. The villainess enjoys a carefree life married to her worst enemy. Being reborn once may sound impressive, but Riche has already done it 7 times. And she's had all kinds of excitement, from peddling goods as a merchant to locking blades as a knight, and now she's determined to kick back and enjoy. But to savor her high life, she has to first marry a handsome prince, the same one who happens to be her murderer. It will take 6+ lifetimes of experience and skills for Riche to break out of the time loop and make her dreams come true. The next anime on my list is called 'Tis Time for Torture Princess. As the war between the Imperial Army and the Hell Horde rages on, the princess, despite being armed with her mythical sword Excalibur, is captured and imprisoned. Well, what kind of torture does she face at the hands of the chief demon interrogator? Well, it turns out just to be food. The question of this anime is, can the princess withstand these tormenting treats and keep her kingdom safe? Next on the list is an anime called Hoko Girls Are Super Adorable. A teenager named Tsubasa Shiki decides to move from Tokyo out to the countryside. On arrival, he meets a native girl named Minami Fuyuki, who takes a liking to the city boy and takes him under her wing. Finding her unlike any girl he's ever met before, Tsubasa finds himself drawn to this Hokkaido girl. And the next anime on my list is called The Foolish Angel Dances with the Devil. Akutu Masatora is a demon who has infiltrated a high school in the human world. His goal is to find candidates to aid Hell in their fight against their natural enemies, the Angels of Heaven. Assigned a seat next to Lily Amane, another student who transferred here not long ago, Akatsu falls prey to her beauty and decides to recruit her to his cause. But there's more to Lily than meets the eye, and Akatsu not only finds himself an accomplice to one of the enemies he's supposed to defeat, but he also might have caught feelings for her. Next on the list is an anime called Villainous Level 99. This college kid wants nothing more than a quiet life. But when she's reborn as Yumiella, the hidden villainess of the Otome RPG, she's not exactly thrilled. Still yearning for peace, she abandons her evil duties to a more discreet life, until her gamer side kicks in and she accidentally reaches level 99. Now everybody suspects her of being the infamous Demon Lord. What future awaits her? Next on the list is an anime called Metallic Rogue. Metallic Rogue takes place in a world where humans and androids coexist. The story follows Rogue, an android girl who is on a mission on Mars with her partner Naomi. Their mission is to murder 9 artificial humans who are hostile to the government. Next on the list is an anime called Sengoku Yuko. The world is divided into 2 factions, humans and monsters called Kitawara. Despite being a Kitawara, Tama loves humans and vows to protect them from evil, even if that means fighting her own kind. However, her brother Jinka hates humans, despite mostly being one. The siblings are joined by a cowardly swordsman named Shinsuke, who wants to learn how to become strong. When the group uncovers a plot to experiment on humans and transform them into monsters, they vow to defeat whoever's behind it, even if that means battling an entire army of warriors. The next anime on my list is called Dr. Alise. Dr. Song is considered a prodigy among Korean surgeons, known for her skill in saving patients no matter their condition. In her past life as Alise de Clorence, the ill-mannered wife of the emperor, her jealousy and greed had led to the loss of her loved ones and ultimately her death. For that reason, she vowed to now save lives instead of destroying them. But after getting into a fatal plane crash, she finds herself in her old body. With her previous knowledge of modern medicine, and now a chance to mend all of her mistakes, she's determined to contribute to the Empire as a medic in this life. But will Alise be able to avoid her engagement to Prince Lyndon del Romanov, the man who had loved her to the point of her own demise? Next on my list is an anime called The Witch and the Beast. This story follows 2 characters, Ashif, a soft-spoken man with delicate features, a coffin strapped to his back, and an entourage of black crows, and Guido, a feral, violent girl with long fangs and eyes of a beast. This ominous pair appear one day in a town enthralled to a witch. The witch is a ruler of magic, coursing through her tattooed body and has convinced the townfolk that she's their hero. But Ashif and Guido know better. They live by one creed. Wherever a witch goes, only curses and disaster follow. These 2 have scores to settle, and they won't hesitate to remove anyone from their way. And the next anime on my list is called Delusional Monthly Magazine. On the 2nd floor of an old building is a publishing company that puts out a periodical called Delusional Monthly Magazine, a science magazine featuring articles about shocking, bizarre events and inapplicable phenomenons that even scientists throw their hands up in defeat. Its staff consists of only a beautiful editor-in-chief Suzuki, a grade school-age student, Tanaka, and his dog, Subaru. This editorial department is always empty, and the 3 of them just usually hang out in Rock, a coffee shop on the 1st floor. The beginning of an outlandish new story starts when one day a scientist, Goro Sato, visits them for a consultation. The next anime on my list is called Bang Brave, Bang Brethren. In this anime, it's set in a world where humanoid armored weapons, known as TS, are used in warfare. The story kicks off when troops of various countries converge on the island of Oahu, Hawaii, including the main characters, Asami of the Japan Ground Self-Defense Force and Lewis Smith of the US Marine Corps. Asami and Smith cross paths during a battle, but suddenly their teams are attacked by an unknown enemy, scattering soldiers and sending their forces into disarray. In order to save their friends and survive on the deadly battlefield, they must fight every ounce of courage and pride they can muster. Next on my list is an anime called Miji Geekin, 1874. 7 years into the Meiji era, Japan tries to modernize, aligning with the Western powers. Origasa, a former Ozu retainer turned rickshaw driver in Tokyo, seeks his missing wife from the Boston War era, but circumstances lead him to joining the police force after preventing an assassination. While this is occurring, one-eyed swordsman Ishura, part of the Yakuza, becomes entangled in a Tokyo turf war involving opium trafficking and a conspiracy to restore samurai rule. The destinies of Origasa and Shiragami, with conflicting perspectives, have destined to intersect in a bittersweet encounter. Next on my list is an anime called Whisper Me a Love Song. Yori Asanagi is a mature girl in many ways, but is still pure when it comes to romance. That sentiment is proven when an underclassman, Himari Kino, suddenly confesses love to her after her band performance at the freshman opening ceremony. Confused and surprised, Yori asks her friends for consultation, but they tease her by saying that she's inexperienced in love. Yori soon makes up her mind and tries to return Himari's feelings, but in a turn of events, she realizes that what Himari loved was not her, but her music. As Yori continues to pursue her love for Himari, she promises to make Himari fall for her. Next on my list is an anime called My Instant Death Ability is So Overpowered. Awakening to absolute chaos and carnage while on a school trip, Yogiri discovers that everybody in his class has been transported to another world. However, he managed to somehow sleep through the entire ordeal himself, missing out on the gift, powers bestowed upon the others by a mysterious sage who appeared to transport them. Even worse, he and another classmate were ruthlessly abandoned by their friends, left as bait to distract a nearby dragon. Although he's not terribly bothered by the thought of dying, but he decides to protect his lone companion. After all, a lowly level 1000 monster can't stand a chance against his secret power to invoke instant death without a single thought. But that's if he can stay awake long enough to bother using it. And next on my list is an anime called Mr. Villain's Day Off. As the member of an evil organization, the general is tasked with invading Earth and wiping out all of humanity. But even an extraterrestrial like him needs a day off. Not even the Rangers, a team solely dedicated to defeating the general and his colleagues, will stand in his way of visiting pandas at the zoo, buying ice cream at a convenience store, and enjoying his well-deserved day off from committing evil deeds. And those are all the new anime we are getting this winter 2024 season. If you want to see more anime content like this, please hit that subscribe button. It means so much to me, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.